There are so many different types of games out there. You got your jumpers, shooters, jumping shooters, running gunners, slashers, bashers, fisters, brainers, root toots from the front, root toots from the back. The list goes on. But no matter how much variety is gifted upon us, sometimes gaming manages to still get stale. Like a Cheeto puff. Strangely enough, there's often this period where no matter how many games come out that interest you, when you get to playing the game, it can feel as if you were just playing the same game you played previously, just with a different presentation, perspective, or mechanics. It's damn annoying too, as it can leave you feeling as if you're wasting your time and effort on two different titles to serve you the same relative reward, or just straight up kill your interest in gaming. This happened for me recently, where I found myself in a stupor, not able to sit down and enjoy any games simply because I felt there were no standout releases, and most games ranged from serviceable to highly enjoyable at best. No real mind-blowing experiences, just safe products that serve their purpose. I still kept up with the industry in terms of news and announcements and would still consume content related to gaming, but when it came to playing games myself, I couldn't help but find most games dull, giving them a very small window of time played, or just straight up not playing certain games at all, missing out on them completely in their time of relevancy. If you saw my backlog, you would think I have a serious problem. Trust me. I thought that it was maybe a sign that I was drifting away from my interest in gaming and maybe just wanted to pursue another interest and let video games be more of a light hobby than the massively influential subject it had been for me up until that point. But then one day I was recommended a game by a friend, a game within a genre that I'd not had particular interest in playing at the time. Little did I know that this genre would not only renew my want to play games, but also invoke an even deeper love for gaming than I ever had before. That genre? The roguelike. The roguelike is a genre that has become a cornerstone within my gaming career. Having grown in popularity within the indie scene over the last decade, it went from a niche genre to a massively pursued and played style of game across its many releases from multiple developers. The genre only seems to continue to evolve, never taking steps back and only moving forward, with each new title being more ambitious and unique than the last. This genre saved my love for games, and since my introduction to them, to this day has become a new favorite genre next to other favorites of mine like shooters and fighting games. That being said, you're probably wondering what is the point of this video. Well, I love this genre so much that I wanted to explain why I have so much appreciation for it, but I also wanted to make a case for those people out there, all two of you, as to why you should jump into the genre or at least give it a shot. So let's get started. This is why I love roguelikes. We all know that art, style, graphics, and concept are very important in selling a video game. The visuals of a game are integral, as they are the first thing people will be exposed to as to gauge interest in said title. If a game doesn't look cool or intriguing to the eye from a consumer, it more often than not will deter most from wanting to play or try the game, no matter how fundamentally solid the gameplay looks in and of itself. It's at the forefront of the game industry for a reason, even if it's a bit over-prioritized now. I myself am not much of a graphical savant, but that doesn't mean that great presentation is not a factor for me in terms of enjoying the game. That being said, I have always found roguelike titles have this sense of true artistic integrity and variety across most, if not all, titles within the genre. Being independently developed or usually made by a significantly smaller team than your standard gaming company, the developers of roguelikes often are allowed to have their artistic vision and style be truly represented in their product. As such, you get some impressive and truly unique visuals and feel that elevate the immersion and charm of the game to its highest peak. Ranging from cutesy and colorful to gritty and haunting, or even both put together, the presentation across the genre always feels fresh, and each title is a standout in its own way. No matter if the relative style of the game is similar to other titles, the way it is conveyed to the player is rife with personality and really helps you appreciate the creativity the developers brought to the game's look. That's not to say that bigger developers have no artistic focus, but I just feel that they often get lost in things like budget and deadlines, which inadvertently affect it being a priority. And while the independent dev sphere generally prioritizes it a lot more, I still feel it most accentuated in the roguelike genre. No matter if it's retro, godly, or adorably satanic, the roguelike genre is definitely more than meets the eye. A prime example of I couldn't resist. Transformative, you could say. Boobies. Though roguelikes are considered a genre of their own, there is a plethora of subgenres underneath the term that prevent it from just being corralled into one kind of game. While most usually fall under dungeon crawler hack and slash action, there are many different genres that have found themselves akin to the design and rules of a roguelike. Platformers and shooters particularly have been shown to work well with rogue design philosophy and rules being easily implemented alongside the mechanics representative of the standard within their design. However, there are many other titles that go further out from the traditional formula, using concepts that one wouldn't necessarily believe to be well adapted into a roguelike design. For example, Crypt of the Necrodancer is a roguelike that implements rhythm game elements into the traditional dungeon crawler formula, not only adding another layer of challenge, but creating something completely unique and fun compared to other roguelikes. Another example can be seen with games like Inscryption and Slay the Spire, both games that take roguelike elements and apply them to the design of a deck building card game, allowing for endless possibilities with each subsequent run of the game, giving the game uncapped replayability. The roguelike genre also not only manages to create fresh takes on already established game types, but also manages to even merge genres in ways never seen before. The prime example being the critically acclaimed Cult of the Lamb, which merges the traditional hack and slash roguelike design with the style and mechanics of a colony sim. All in all, the roguelike genre does well creating more and more new experiences from combining all kinds of differing game types, adding to the variety and accessibility of the roguelike genre as a whole to a wider range of consumers, and I love it as it keeps interest high in newer titles, which helps them never feel stale. Like the Cheeto Puff. It honestly really fits that the genre embodies the definition of what a rogue is. Tricky, mischievous, and willing to take a gamble in hopes of creating something that works. And well, I could say it at least works for me, for the most part. The tactical ones make my brain cells tie tourniquets. Some people look at the live, die, repeat design of these games and think they are the prime example of repetitious design, saying things like, how can you sit there and keep on doing the same thing over and over? Doesn't it become boring after a while? Or, it just looks frustrating dying over and over with no real point or reward to it, why bother? I have always found these kinds of statements hilarious, as when it's all said and done, every game is repetitious. Every single game ever made has you performing the same base actions in repetition. The reason why you don't think that you are is because there are underlying factors that contribute to the basic actions within the game, adding layers to what you're experiencing or doing, which keeps the experience from becoming dull or stale. Like the goddamn Cheeto Puff! The action genre handles repetition by providing you with differing styles of combat or weaponry, and or adding new mechanics as the game progresses, allowing for the experience to feel consistently new without ever straying from the base design. Shooters handle repetition by adding variety in weaponry, much like action games, but also adding even more layers with a more vast range of weapons to choose from, customization of your chosen weapons, and customization of your character's various other tools within their loadout. Roguelikes do the same thing as most other games do to stifle repetition, but they add two things to the mix that ultimately make them, for me, the antithesis of repetition: curiosity and exploration. With these two at the forefront, roguelikes have a tendency to be one of, if not the most satisfying grind for me, as with each new run of said game, something is always different and there is always something to find, discover, and learn about the game. They keep me consistently going back in for more, as I want to see my decisions and strokes of curiosity rewarded with each subsequent playthrough, not only creating a sense of satisfaction for me, the player, but also deepening my want to play more effectively and understand the game more vividly. In short, they are addicting as hell when done correctly, and I am happy to say that most of them are so intricately designed and utterly vast that it's borderline crazy to believe you can complete a game of this kind. I mean, you technically can, but that's not the point. The point is that at the center of what makes roguelikes so damn great is the true feeling of wonder and excitement you can feel when reapproaching the game, not knowing what could happen in this next run. The game always stays new, and that is exactly what repetition is not. Now you're probably thinking that's it. There is the penultimate reason why Adamant loves these games, but actually, you'd be wrong. The one thing that I find so lovable about this genre is something that probably most of you would never even consider, let alone think about. Video games have been around for the last damn near 3/4 of a decade, and with each leap in the technology, there have been many big strides in making it the entertainment monolith it is today, where we see games that are even bigger than the cinema and television that inspired them. However, the one thing that has always stood the test of time in terms of the purpose of their creation is this simple prospect of its design: to provide entertainment to the user for the allotted time of play. When all is said and done, video games were created to occupy time by stimulating the consumer's mind with interactive visuals and experiences that allowed for them to have an activity in times of boredom or stillness. They were made to aid the passage of time and still do to this day on a larger scale, with games now having hundreds of hours of content to indulge in, even if it isn't necessarily worth it. As someone who's grown up with the gaming industry, not since the beginning obviously, but I got a few marks on my career sheet, I have found that while I love video games and always will, they can tend to be a bit asking of me in terms of my time. Not saying that it is a bad thing, as I still have my long sessions of gaming and relish the challenges offered now more than ever, but I do find myself unable to really immerse myself for long periods of time with a game due to simply having to adult most times and being too tired from adulting to indulge in games when that open slot of time comes. That was kind of depressing. I'm sorry, I swear there is a point to this. What I am trying to say is that I find myself only able to enjoy gaming in small doses now for the most part, and it has allowed me to not only appreciate gaming and video games as a significant part of my life, but also understand the philosophy and point of their creation in the first place. And this genre, the roguelike, helped me realize that. Roguelikes, I feel, represent the general idea of what a video game is and was always meant to be. Smaller experiences that consume set time while allowing for the consumer to still have moments for other activities, significant or otherwise. And look, I am not specifically saying that these games are necessarily representative of the perfect style of games, nor am I saying that this is the main reason I find them appealing, because that would make me sound like a fossil.
Yeah, video games ain't quite like the good old days of Pac-Man and asteroids. Emphasis on the ass.
I say this because I find it unbelievably charming and ironic that after all of these years we are at the peak of technical performance, graphical fidelity, and narrative excellence with the gaming, and yet we still find ourselves able to make these smaller games that feel just as significant to the history than our big blockbuster titles, and leading the troop of significant smaller experiences is the roguelike, in my opinion. A genre that isn't quite new, but never gets old. Before I end the video, I just want to give my personal recommendations for those looking to get into the genre who have been hard pressed to jump into it or just don't know where is best to start. You know, all two of you. For someone who is playing a roguelike for the first time and wants to transition into playing them comfortably, I'd recommend Hades or Rogue Legacy 2, as they are the most accessible ones I can think of and have elements of progression outside of the roguelike formula that allow for those who are not down with consistent deaths to feel they're getting some kind of reward for their play. If you want more of a challenge but don't necessarily want to get your balls stomped in, I would recommend games like Dead Cells, 20XX, or Cult of the Lamb. Games that will give you a run for your money in terms of execution, but will still feel satisfying to play and will push you to play them more and more with each subsequent playthrough. And if you want the full-on rogue experience, I'd recommend you play games like Spelunky 2, Binding of Isaac, and Darkest Dungeons. These are games that will give you the exact challenge you can expect in the genre at its finest. Be prepared. Trust me, I was not. And there are tons of other games within the genre, as I've said before, with varying styles and gameplay that may suit you better than these, so I would say the best option outside of these is for you to go and find them for yourself. Like this video if you like roguelikes. Comment down below what roguelikes you enjoy if you already play some, or if you have interest in one you would like to share. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. I got another run to do, and I think I got this one.